about to hear a revolution in talk radio, Liberty Talk Radio, where the critical thinking will defrag your mind of propaganda-ridden viruses induced by mass media news programming. No BS here, just the facts.
And now we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
Welcome, everyone, to Liberty Talk Radio, America's libertarian voice, broadcasting from our studio in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to around the world. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano, and this is your antidote to popular talk radio. Folks, it's time for us to take back control of our government now before this bureaucratic, oversized, and self-serving government starves us of our property, our freedom, our rights, and our liberty. But to do this, we must shed conventional thinking regarding our political structure. We need to be revolutionaries in thought, dissidents in action. Only after we recognize what our government is doing to our freedom and our Constitution will we start taking it back. And this program is just about that. Folks, today I'd like to say a few words about an interesting phenomena. We have a politician, and we all know who he is. He's from, I think, Vermont, Bernie Sanders. He's a presidential candidate, last presidential election. And he has captured the hearts and minds of the young generation, primarily those going to college. He's promising free schooling, for example, and the students think that's a wonderful idea. He preaches socialism, and they think that's an absolutely marvelous idea. Why haven't we thought of this before? Well, you know, what's really interesting is that you wonder why or how the students could be thinking of socialism being of any value. Now, the reason why I say this is because you would think that these students were indoctrinated in a foreign country, in a socialistic environment, espousing all of the attributes, all of the wonderful features of the socialistic society. But no, these students have actually gone to American schools that reside in a capitalistic structure, political structure, albeit kind of wavering right now on a socialistic point of view because our government has given away its rights of protecting the Constitution and protecting the freedom and the rights of the individual. We've given that up, but we understand that. But yet the school system, you think, should be, at least that they've been through, have been advocating free society, of free markets, and of course teaching the students about the Constitution. Well, lo and behold, after 12 years of being in a, quote, school of capitalism, which probably is not, capitalism, the end result is that they now embrace socialism. How did that happen? How could you go to school for 12 years, and let's assume that capitalism is all wrong, but you've still been indoctrinated for 12 years, and then all of a sudden you go to college and you say, oops, sorry, made a mistake, capitalism sucks, really socialism is the way to go, wow, we're glad we went to college. Well, no, actually, socialism sucks, and free markets is the only way to prosperity and to actually progress through life in the manner in which you believe is the best for you to exploit your talents and your interest. But no, they don't. Well, how did they get there? Well, that's because our school systems actually suck. They do. They're horrible because teachers get out of the government school systems that really don't teach the Constitution. They talk about it, but they never talk about the basics. They never talk about the foundation of the Constitution, of what it means to have a free society. They actually embrace socialism because they're part of the socialism network. Education should not be, and never should have been, a responsibility of the state. That's a responsibility of the parents. If we go back decades, we will find that young people went to school to learn the 3 R's. Remember, reading, writing, arithmetic, just enough so they can learn to read, and pursue to read those things that interest them, to write so that they can communicate with other people, and also and do arithmetic so they can figure things out, monetarily. But what happened here is that from that, what we've learned is that our students are not learning that whatsoever. What they're doing is they're being indoctrinated in a government school system so that they can be geared toward the importance of government in their lives and the necessity to have government steer every portion of their lives. Oh boy, my phone is ringing like crazy. All right, hold on a second, please. I apologize for that. I will have to get back to that person in a minute. All right. It's interesting that after going to, quote, a capitalistic school and a capitalistic form of government, so to speak, or society, that they would embrace socialism. Well, they can only embrace socialism if that's what they were taught was good. So where's the failure? The failure is in the entire system that we have now. The government should not be responsible for the children's education. The parents are responsible for that. And whether or not the kids go to high school or not is really is a decision that the student makes and the parent makes. It's interesting, when I was listening to on radio many years ago, there was a cartoonist that was world famous, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, world famous cartoonist who was being interviewed, and they asked him, how did you learn your skills, et cetera, and what high school did you go to school, what college you go to? He said, well, I didn't go to college. He says, in fact, I didn't even go to high school. And they were kind of shocked, and they said, no, why not? He said, I just wasn't interested. He said, I like staying home and reading comic books. He said, I think his mother had passed away, and he was living with his father. And his father said, okay. And by doing so, he developed a talent, an interest in comic books and the way they were constructed and the storylines and whatever. He became a comic book expert, not a numbnut, really an educated person. And he read an awful lot as a result of that. And he became, I'm sorry, I don't recall the person's name, but apparently a world-renowned cartoonist, for comic books. And apparently the reason why they had him on radio, because he had recently passed away, et cetera, et cetera. So my point being is that you don't need to go to a government school in order to be successful. In fact, a way that you can defer your success, and in fact dampen your interest in what you want to do or what you do best, is to go to a government school, whether it be a high school, a grammar school, or a college, as far as that's concerned. And so we have everything backwards, upside down, and inside out. But just to imagine if the government says this is a free enterprise school, and after 12 years, that means 8 years of elementary school and 4 years of high school in a free market society, the end result is that you embrace socialism. What does that tell you? That tells you that, in a way, we are preaching socialism. We are espousing all of the wonders of the government intervention into our lives and all the things that the government does for us, when in fact the government just takes from us and gives to other people. Now, if you said it that way, the kids in school say, wait a minute, you mean if I go to work, I got to have some of my money to Bobby? No, screw Bobby. Let him get his own job. That's what they would say, but they don't say that in school. Now, unfortunately, I have approached teachers on subjects such as this, and I try to ask them, well, how do you get around subjects such as that? And they become very argumentative. Most of them cry. Some just get up and leave because they cannot think. And they can't think because they haven't been taught to think. They've been indoctrinated in a socialist school system, and by sort of demonizing that type of education, but in a very polite way, they cannot respond to it because they haven't learned to think. They've learned to memorize and repeat and to write down and to pass a test and to memorize and repeat and do it over again. And this is what they've taught their kids. But the kids don't listen to Bernie Sanders and say, this guy's a numbnut. Are you kidding me? This guy's crazy. This will never work. But no, it doesn't work that way, because we live in a socialistic society today, and we're heading down this road which is going to be horrendously unsuccessful for everyone and unprofitable for everyone. All right, I just wanted to make this short video. I hope it's posted on YouTube. We have a new system here. I hope it works, and I hope you listen to it. And then if you do, please send me some email. My email address is comments@libertytalkradio.com, and I enjoy hearing from you. Okay? And with that, I'd like to say